This Ginān is a direct call to awaken the human being to the true purpose of life. It does not address worldly success, comfort, or external achievement, but speaks to the inner destiny of the soul. From its opening line to its final counsel, it presents life as a journey of knowledge, one that must be undertaken with awareness, urgency, and sincerity. The repeated command to continue to walk fast reveals a central teaching. Delay in spiritual matters is loss. Time is not merely passing, it is actively consuming life. Every moment either advances the soul toward recognition or distances it through heedlessness. This Ginān therefore reorders priorities by placing knowledge and recognition above all else, declaring that life itself is precious only because it offers the opportunity to know. The Ginān also teaches that the journey of knowledge is not chaotic or frightening. Though long and demanding, it is described as a path of peace, illuminated by divine wisdom and guided by living light. Fear, hesitation, and complacency arise not from truth, but from ignorance and the whisperings of the lower self. By contrast, certainty and tranquility accompany the seeker who walks under true guidance. Most importantly, the Ginān clarifies that knowledge is not abstract or self-generated. It is a divine treasure, hidden yet accessible through the proper gate. The journey reaches its fulfillment in the guidance of the Imām of the time, the living mazhar of God's light, where spirituality attains its destination and every inner observation matures into recognition. In this way, the Ginān teaches what must take priority in human life, not accumulation, not delay, not comfort, but continuous movement toward knowledge, purification, and recognition. It calls every seeker to align ambition with the Lord, to endure hardship with patience, and to walk swiftly yet peacefully toward the light for which the soul was created. This is not merely poetry. It is instruction, warning, and invitation, reminding the traveler that life is short, the path is clear, and the destination is luminous.
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim.
In the name of Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful.
In this reflection, we will study this wisdom-full Ginān one verse at a time. For each verse, we will first consider its translation and then unfold its extended inner meaning so that the depth of guidance contained within it becomes clear and practical for our lives. This step-by-step approach allows the seeker to reflect, absorb, and recognize the wisdom gradually, rather than rushing over profound truths. This Ginān was written by Allama Nasiruddin Nasir Hanzai, a devoted servant of the Imām through knowledge and spirituality. This background itself reflects the spirit of the Ginān: devotion to knowledge, perseverance on the spiritual path, and service under living guidance. With this understanding, we now begin the journey, verse by verse, seeking light, meaning, and recognition.
चला चल पुरअमन हैरान धरती से चला चल.
This line does not speak of a physical journey, nor of accumulating information. It points to the extent, rank, and stages of knowledge within the personal world of every individual. Knowledge has no final boundary because divine wisdom is infinite. Every person, according to their capacity, enters one stage among countless stages of this journey. The length of the journey refers to depth, not distance. One may reach a stage of understanding, yet that stage itself opens into further stages. Thus, knowledge is long because recognition unfolds endlessly. However, the verse commands speed. This urgency arises from the reality of time. The Quran swears, "By the time Asr, surely humanity is in loss." Surah Al-Asr, chapter 103, verses 1 through 3. Time is not neutral. Every moment compresses life, just as Asr literally means to squeeze. Human existence is being pressed continuously, extracting either awareness or loss. Therefore, to delay the journey of knowledge is to allow time to drain life without meaning. Esoterically, Asr signifies the Imam of the time, who is the essence of time and the people of the time. When Allah swears by Asr, He is swearing by living guidance, indicating that the greatest loss is not worldly failure, but failure to recognize the Imam of one's time. Thus, to walk fast means to hasten toward recognition before time consumes the opportunity. This line removes the inner hesitation that prevents speed, fear. Many souls delay the journey of knowledge because they fear losing familiarity, certainty, or inherited assumptions. But the Ginān reassures that the path of true knowledge is full of peace. This peace does not come at the end. It accompanies the journey itself when one walks under true guidance. Recognition brings inner balance, not confusion. Fear belongs to ignorance. Peace belongs to light. The Quran clarifies who is saved from loss, except those who truly believe, do good deeds, and exhort one another to truth and patience. Here, belief is not passive faith, but recognition, and good deeds include the journey of knowledge itself. Exhorting one another to truth reflects shared guidance under the Imam, while patience ensures steadiness without stopping. Therefore, speed and peace coexist. When fear is removed through recognition of the Imam of the time, the soul can move swiftly without anxiety. This is why the command is repeated: continue to walk fast, because delay, not movement, is the true danger.
Ya Ali Madad Rahima, thank you for coming in. At times, it is difficult to find someone who can express our esoteric faith and convey that there is more to it than simply performing rituals. In the previous verse, we spoke about faith as recognition and movement. As we extend the poem now, where does Islam itself fit into this urgency?
Ya Ali Madad Rahim, my pleasure. The Imam has said that the greatest service one can give is to help lift a soul to its desired destination. He once explained, "This means that as you live in the physical world, your intellect lives in another world." Toronto, Canada, 17th November, 2017. At its roots, Islam is not a religion of delay. It presents itself as the religion of fitrat, the natural disposition upon which the human being is created. Movement toward truth is not imposed from outside, it is already written within us. To remain stagnant is not neutrality, it is resistance to our own nature.
You're saying stagnation is unnatural.
Exactly. The Quran says, "Set your face toward the religion upright, the fitrat, law of nature of Allah upon which He created humankind. A seed that refuses to grow rots. A child who refuses to mature suffers. In the same way, a soul that delays its spiritual journey violates its own design. That is why urgency is not impatience, it is alignment."
Many people think spirituality is optional, something to return to later in life. How does this idea sit with the law of nature?
It doesn't. Law of nature means the soul is already oriented toward recognition. The journey is inherent, not elective. Delay is time that will not come back, thereby creating inner tension, confusion, and fear. When the soul does not move forward, it doesn't stay still, it moves backward into anxiety.
I am sure there is guidance from the Imam on this matter.
Yes, Maulana Shah Karim alayhi salam addressed both the young and the old who say, I will fulfill this duty tomorrow. Tomorrow does not return. And to those who say, I am too old to do it now, he reminded us that one is never too old. This guidance was given in 1967 and reinforced again in 1973, not to mark time, but to awaken responsibility. Decades have passed, yet many still delay and take it lightly. When he said, I make this firman today because I would like you to keep it in mind and to act upon it, the word today was not limited to that moment. It extends to every moment that follows. Reflect deeply and seek the right guidance.
Yes, very important. If I may continue, the poem speaks about speed, walking fast without fear. How does speed relate to the personal world?
Speed refers to inner responsiveness, not physical haste. The personal world is the inner universe where the soul encounters truth. When recognition awakens there, movement becomes natural and swift, like thought itself. Fear slows the soul, but recognition removes fear. That's why speed and peace coexist.
So the journey towards God is not outward, toward places or forms.
No. Maulana Ali alayhi salam clarifies this when he says, the one who knows his soul has known his Lord. This establishes that the path unfolds within. The personal world is where the soul recognizes its origin and direction. External rituals support this, but the real journey is inward.
If the journey is inward, why is urgency still emphasized?
Because time is experienced inwardly first. Delay in the personal world manifests outwardly as confusion, attachment, and fear of loss. The soul knows it was created for recognition. When it is denied that nourishment, it feels restless. Urgency is the soul calling itself home. We should also know that there is an enemy working within us who does not want us to progress.
How should a seeker understand speed without falling into stress or impatience?
Speed here means continuity, not stopping, not postponing. It is like a river, fast yet calm. The moment recognition begins, the soul should keep moving, learning, and aligning. Delay is more dangerous than movement, because delay hardens habits.
So this extension of the poem is really a warning.
Yes, but a compassionate one. It reminds us that the human being was not created for spiritual pause. The personal world is alive, growing, and expectant. To move swiftly toward recognition is not ambition, it is obedience to fitrat.
As we continue, what is the central message coming across in this extension?
That the journey to God is already underway within you from the time one is born, and stopping is the only real danger.
Each door opens another door. A seeker once reached a door he had spent years searching for. When it finally opened, he felt relief, certain that the journey was complete. But beyond that door stood another corridor, and at its end, another door. At first he hesitated. Why is there always more, he wondered. Then he realized the length of the journey was not meant to exhaust him, but to awaken him. Each door did not cancel the last, it fulfilled it. Every stage of knowing widened his capacity to recognize what lay beyond. He learned that knowledge was not a destination to arrive at, but a light that deepens as one walks faster toward it. And so he stopped asking, when will it end? And began asking, am I walking with readiness? For in the personal world, depth has no final boundary, and every true opening invites the soul to move again.
Earlier, we spoke about the personal world and the urgency of movement within it. To take this further, the Quran speaks of creation and command. Why is this distinction important for understanding the spiritual journey?
Because it explains why the human being is never still. The Quran says, Surah Al-Araf 7 verse 54, Allah lahul khalqu wal amr. His is the creation and the command. These are not two names for the same thing, they are two realms of existence. Without understanding this, the urgency of the journey remains unclear.
What exactly is meant by the world of command?
The world of command, alam, is the realm beyond time. It is neither past nor future. It is pre-eternal and post-eternal as it is timeless. This is the realm and reality of the soul, intellect, light, and meaning. It does not decay, does not age, and does not move from one moment to another.
And the world of creation?
The world of creation, alam al-khalq, is entirely different. It is bound by time. Everything within it is constantly changing, moving from the present into the past and leaning toward the future. Bodies grow, weaken, and disappear. Forms arise and dissolve. Nothing here is permanent.
So where does the human being stand between these two realms?
This is what makes the human being unique. The soul belongs to the world of command, but it is clothed temporarily in the world of creation. One part of us is timeless, while another part is constantly changing. This dual belonging is why human life feels like continuous movement and transformation.
Is this why inner restlessness exists even when outer life seems stable?
Yes, the soul remembers permanence even while living in change. When a person identifies only with the world of creation, with body, form, and time, the soul feels displaced. The urgency of the spiritual journey arises from this mismatch between origin and environment.
Can you give a simple way to understand this difference?
Think of electricity and a light bulb. Electricity itself is unseen and constant. The bulb through which it shines may flicker, weaken, or burn out. The soul is like electricity. It belongs to the realm of command. The body is like the bulb, temporary and subject to change.
How does this understanding affect the idea of speed in the spiritual journey?
Speed becomes natural once we realize where we truly belong. The soul seeks what is timeless. Delay happens when we mistake the changing for the permanent. Recognition reconnects the soul to its origin, and movement accelerates without strain.
So the urgency is not imposed from outside?
No, it rises from within. The soul remembers the world of command where it was born and gave baya. Every moment spent unaware feels like distance. That is why the journey presses forward, not because time is short, but because truth is already present.
How does this relate back to the poem?
The poem reminds us that while the body moves through time, the soul belongs beyond it, and recognition is the bridge that reunites the two.
We've spoken about creation and command, and how the human being belongs to both. But within the world of creation itself, what law governs human existence?
The law is continuous motion. In the world of creation, nothing remains as it was. Human life is defined by uninterrupted progression, whether one is aware of it or not.
The Quran describes human development in very vivid stages. Why is this description so important?
Because it shows that change is not accidental, it is divinely patterned. The Quran traces the human being from clay to a drop, to a clot, to a lump, to bones, to flesh, and then to another creation. Each stage fully replaces the previous one. Nothing lingers, nothing pauses.
So even physically, there's no room for remaining the same?
None at all. The embryo does not remain clay, and it does not stay a clot. Progress is unavoidable. This teaches us that stagnation is not part of the divine design. Movement is built into existence itself.
How does this physical law relate to the inner, spiritual life?
It mirrors it exactly. Just as the body must advance through stages to reach completion, the soul is also meant to progress. Remaining fixed at the level of outward form, ritual alone, or inherited belief contradicts the pattern God has placed in creation.
Some might say, I'm doing what I can and that is enough. Maulo will accept it. How would this be understood in light of this principle?
Doing the basics without growth is like refusing to move beyond an early stage of development. The form may remain, but life weakens. Spiritual life demands advancement toward meaning, understanding, and recognition. Mala uses the word meritocratic. Nothing but the best is accepted.
Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam makes a very strong statement about this, doesn't he?
Yes, he says, whoever's 2 days are equal is in loss. This means there is no stationary state in spiritual life. Equality of days is not balance, it is decline disguised as stability. It is where one convinces one's negligence.
The clock that no one could hear. There was a clock in the center of the city. It had no sound, no ticking, no chime to mark the hours. People passed it every day, convinced that time was slow, that tomorrow would always return. But quietly, invisibly, the clock continued to press forward, compressing moments, narrowing chances, extracting either awareness or loss. Only a few noticed its movement. They were the ones who walked with purpose, who exhorted one another to truth, who did not mistake delay for safety. They understood that loss was not failing in the world, but missing the moment of recognition. The clock never warned them. Time never does. It simply moves, and only those who walk with light realize how little of it there is.
That sounds severe. Is there really no neutral position?
There isn't. One either advances toward light or regresses into darkness. Even outward repetition without inward growth slowly becomes regression. The soul was created for ascent, not maintenance.
So when the poem urges movement, it is echoing this law?
Exactly. The poem is not asking the soul to do something extraordinary. It is reminding it to obey the same law that shaped its body, continuous transformation toward completion.
In the Qur'anic sequence of human development, there is a striking phrase, "Then we made him another creation." Why is this moment so significant?
Because it marks a turning point. Up to this stage, the Quran is describing physical formation, but Khalqan Akhar signals something more than biological completion. It indicates the emergence of a new reality within the human being.
How is this phrase usually understood on the outward level?
Exoterically, it is often read as the final perfection of the human body. The organs are formed, the structure is complete. But if the verse ended there, it would only describe anatomy, not purpose.
And inwardly, what does Khalqan Akhar point to?
Esoterically, it refers to the awakening of the higher soul, the intellect illuminated by divine light. It is the transition from mere biological life to conscious spiritual life, from existing to understanding why one exists.
So this is not an external addition to the human being.
No, nothing new is added from outside. The change occurs through inward reconfiguration. Just as a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, the transformation happens from within. The human being becomes a new creation by awakening what was already latent. This is the subtle body that is needed for the next world. In other words, it is the farm or the personal worlds of the hereafter.
Does this mean physical maturity alone is not true completion?
Exactly. Physical growth reaches a limit, but inner growth does not. Without the awakening of Khalqan Akhar, another creation also known as a subtle human being, a person may be fully formed outwardly, yet incomplete inwardly.
Sayyid Hakim Nasiri Khosrow, Radhi Allahu Anha, speaks directly to this distinction, doesn't he?
He does. He says, man is not complete by his body, but by the perfection of his intellect. This clarifies that true human completion lies in illumination, not in form.
How does this relate back to the urgency of the spiritual journey?
Because another creation is not automatic. The body reaches maturity on its own, but the soul requires recognition and guidance. Delay means remaining at a lower stage, while the potential for transformation remains unrealized.
So the poem is guiding the listener toward this inner birth.
Yes, it is calling the soul toward its own emergence. The urgency is not about reaching somewhere new, it is about becoming what one is meant to be.
One final thought. How should the listener hear this verse now?
As an invitation. You were formed as a body, but you are meant to be born as light and become light, Noor.
Up to this point, we've spoken about growth, transformation, and inner awakening. Now the poem insists on speed. Why does the spiritual journey require haste?
Because time itself does not pause. The body is steadily consumed by time, while neglect and heedlessness darken the soul. Delay is harmful, as it produces loss. Even when it feels comfortable, one can see darkness outside, but what about inside?
Some people associate speed with panic or instability. Is that what is meant here?
No, the Quran does not call toward panic. It calls toward awareness. When it says, race toward forgiveness from your Lord, and so flee or run towards Allah, it is addressing those who recognize what is at stake. One who sees clearly does not move casually.
So haste is not fear-driven.
It is recognition-driven. When the value of something is understood, response becomes immediate. Slowness is not calm. It is often confusion or attachment disguised as patience.
Maulana Rumi expresses this urgency in very human terms, doesn't he?
Yes, he reminds us that yesterday is already gone and tomorrow has not yet arrived. Only today is real. If awakening is delayed in the present moment, it is always deferred into illusion.
Can you give a simple image that captures this urgency?
If a person sees fire in their house, they do not walk slowly or debate the exit. They move immediately, not out of panic, but out of clarity. The spiritual journey is the same. Once inner awakening occurs, response must be swift.
So what does speed actually signify in this context?
Speed signifies sincerity, clarity, and recognition. It means the heart has understood, the intellect is awake, and excuses no longer delay movement. This also means to act with obedience to the Imam's firmans without delay.
Does this urgency apply only at the beginning of the journey?
No, it applies at every stage. Recognition deepens, responsibility increases, and delay becomes more costly. The closer one comes to light, the less room there is for hesitation.
Desert in the mystic. The traveler stopped when he saw him. A man seated on the sand, clothes simple, edges worn and torn by wind and time. How can someone like this sit so calmly in such emptiness? The traveler asked himself. There is nothing here but heat and distance. He walked closer and said, I have seen a mystic in the desert. The mystic did not answer. The traveler continued, almost arguing with his own mind. How could a desert fit inside a man? How could vastness belong to someone so small, so simply clothed? He circled him, searching for signs, a book, a mark, a miracle. Is wisdom not supposed to look fuller than this? He whispered. How can the mind become spaceless when the body is so clearly bound? At last, the mystic spoke softly. You are looking for the desert around me. You have not looked at what is moving within you. The traveler paused. The mystic continued. You see torn cloth and think of loss. You see stillness and think of emptiness. But tell me, does the sky become smaller because it rests in your eyes? The traveler felt something loosen. You saw me in the desert, the mystic said,
but you did not see the desert learning stillness inside me. The wind passed, the sand remained, and the traveler realized the body occupies space, but recognition and wisdom does not. Some minds are confined by horizons, others have no walls at all. This is the personal world.
How should the listener receive this part of the poem?
As a gentle but firm reminder, what truly matters cannot be approached casually. Speed is not rushing toward God. It is removing the hesitation that keeps us away.
We've spoken about speed, urgency, and awakening, but where does this journey actually unfold? Is it in the outer world or somewhere else?
The spiritual journey unfolds within the personal world, the inner universe of the soul, and each one of us has been given this gift. It is not abstract or symbolic. It is a real, living domain where transformation occurs. Maulana Shah Karim alayhi salam has said, "Think of your education as a gift." Then in another place he said, "Education is first to learn about Allah's creation. That is the fundamental purpose of education in Islam."
If the personal world is real and alive, how do we begin to recognize it?
By learning to see. As mentioned earlier, Maulana reminded us that education is a gift, first to recognize Allah's creation. When creation is understood, the inner world awakens, which is the mirror image of the entire universe, and knowledge becomes a path of recognition, not just information. As the Qur'an says, إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth are signs for people of intellect. Qur'an 3:190.
Does the Qur'an point directly to this inner arena?
Yes, the Quran says, Surah Fussilat, chapter 41, verse 53, سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقِّ. We will show them our signs in the horizons and within themselves until it becomes manifest to them that it is the truth. This verse places the inner world alongside the outer cosmos, affirming that recognition happens inwardly as much as outwardly.
How should we understand the nature of this personal world?
It is vast, dynamic, and alive. Meanings are unveiled there, not merely learned. Guidance becomes experiential, and faith matures into certainty. What is heard outwardly is verified inwardly.
Maulana Ali, alayhi salam, speaks powerfully about this inner reality. How does his statement deepen our understanding?
When he says, أَتَحْسَبُ أَنَّكَ جِرْمٌ صَغِيرٌ وَفِيكَ انْتَوَى الْعَالَمُ الْأَكْبَرُ. You think you are a small body, while the great universe is enfolded in you. He reveals the immensity of the personal world. The human being is not a fragment of existence. The human soul is a microcosm reflecting the whole.
Why does this make delay so serious?
Because the personal world is always unfolding. It never pauses. When one delays, veils accumulate. When one moves forward, illumination increases. Every moment either unveils meaning or allows it to recede.
So, transformation is not a future event?
No, it is a present process. The personal world responds immediately to attention, recognition, and sincerity. Waiting does not preserve it, movement does.
How does this relate back to the poem's insistence on speed?
Speed is required because the inner world is alive. Just as neglect darkens the soul, or putting it another way, it dies without the light of religion, responsiveness brightens it. The journey moves at the speed of awareness itself and enlightenment.
As we bring all these elements together, fitrat, motion, transformation, speed, what coherent vision finally emerges?
A very clear one. Islam accords with human nature. Human existence is defined by motion. Physical development mirrors spiritual responsibility. Nothing in creation suggests stagnation, and neither does the spiritual path.
How do these ideas converge around the concept of khalqan akhar?
They show that the soul is called to become something more than biological life. Khalqan Akhar is the emergence of a luminous, conscious being and intellect awakened by light. This is not an addition to life, it is its fulfillment.
And where does this transformation take place?
Within the personal world, that is the arena where recognition occurs, where meaning is unveiled, and where faith becomes certainty. The outer world reflects signs, but the inner world receives them. To return to God, we have to become the whole. It is said, unity makes unity, and unity merges in unity.
Why then is urgency emphasized so strongly?
Because delay carries consequences. The personal world is responsive, but it is also sensitive. When movement ceases, veils appear. When attention weakens, darkness grows quietly.
Sayyid Nasr-e Khusro radiallahu anhu offers a striking warning about this, doesn't he?
He does. He says, "The one who walks without knowledge walks in darkness, even if the sun shines." This reminds us that light alone is not enough. Recognition is required to benefit from it.
So the repeated call to walk fast needs to be understood carefully.
Yes, it is not haste of the body, nor restlessness of the mind. It is readiness of the soul. It means being alert, responsive, and unwilling to delay what has already become clear.
In the end, what is this invitation really calling the listener to do?
To awaken, to recognize, and to move decisively toward the light that fulfills the purpose of human creation.
So, motion toward light is not an option?
Without doubt, it is the law of life itself.
Why do I always feel so small, as if I am carrying life on my shoulders rather than standing within it?
Because you believe you are only what you can see, bone, skin, and a passing name.
Then what am I if not this body?
You are the place where meanings gather. The body is only the doorway.
But the world feels vast, and I feel confined. How can that be an illusion?
A drop feels small only until it realizes it holds the ocean's reflection.
Are you saying the universe is inside me?
Enfolded, not scattered, as a seed holds the tree without roots, branches, leaves, and fruits.
If that is true, why do I not feel its greatness? Because knowledge and recognition awaken what existence has already placed within you. And what happens when one truly recognizes oneself? You recognize that are not a small soul, but the universal soul. Then the problem was, honestly speaking, my ignorance? Awaken. It was only forgetting your origin, which is spaceless and timeless. So when it is said you think you are a small body, it is an invitation to stop thinking you are just a particle, but the universe.
Final reflection. The human being was not created to remain still. From the first moment of existence, life moves forward, physically and inwardly. This movement is not random. It is directed toward light, recognition, and completion. The personal world is where this journey becomes real. It is there that signs are unveiled, meaning awakens, and faith becomes certainty. Delay does not preserve this inner world. It veils it. Movement, however gentle, restores illumination. To walk fast is not to rush through life, but to respond when truth becomes clear. It is readiness of the soul, not agitation of the body. Motion toward light is not an added demand. It is the law written into human nature itself. What remains is a choice, to linger in forms that pass, or to move decisively toward the light for which the soul was created. Final message. You were created in motion, shaped for recognition and destined for light. To move forward is not urgency imposed from outside. It is the soul remembering its purpose. When truth becomes clear, delay darkens and movement illuminates.
Walking toward the light is not a choice added to life. It is the fulfillment of life itself. In the next session, we will continue this journey by exploring the second verse through the same reflective Q&A. Until then, subscribe and share generously so that others too may rise towards the light we all seek.